Most artists I know are incredible at making the work and absolutely terrible at selling it. They'll spend 3 months on a painting and then 30 seconds on the caption. They'll pour their soul into a sculpture and then whisper the price like they're apologizing for it. And here's the thing nobody tells you. Selling your art isn't the opposite of making art. It's part of making art. The transaction is part of the craft. And the only reason most artists burn out before they ever break through is because they stopped tracking the journey. They stopped writing it down. Today I want to talk about both, the art of selling and the journal that keeps you sane while you do it. Let's start with the wound, because we have to. Almost every artist I've ever met carries this quiet belief that selling their work is somehow a betrayal of it, that commerce contaminates creativity, that if you talk about money, you're not a real artist anymore. You're a hustler in a paint-stained apron. I used to believe this too. I'd post a piece online, and the moment someone asked how much, my stomach would knot up. I'd undercharge. I'd over-explain. I'd practically beg them to take it off my hands so I could prove I wasn't that kind of artist. But here's what I eventually figured out, and I want you to really sit with this. The belief that selling your art is dirty was not invented by artists. It was invented by everyone except artists. Galleries, collectors, institutions, the whole ecosystem that benefits when you don't know your own worth. Because if you think charging money is gauche, somebody else gets to set the price. So let's reframe it. Selling art is not the opposite of making art. Selling art is advocacy for the art. It's saying, this thing I made deserves to exist in the world, deserves to be lived with, deserves to be in someone's home where it changes the light in their kitchen every morning. When you sell a piece, you're not losing it, you're releasing it into a life. Now, with the philosophy out of the way, let's get tactical. There are 3 concrete things that change the moment you take selling seriously. The first is pricing with a spine. Most artists price emotionally. They look at the canvas, feel guilty, and pick a number that won't scare anyone. Don't do that. Price by formula. Size, hours, materials, experience level, market position. Write the formula down. Apply it to every piece. When someone pushes back on the price, you're not defending your feelings. You're explaining a system. That changes everything. The second is the story you tell. Collectors don't buy paintings. They buy stories they can repeat at a dinner party. I bought this from an artist in her studio in Lisbon, and she told me she painted it during the week her grandmother died. That's the sale, not the brushwork, the story. So you need to know the story of every single piece you make, and you need to be able to tell it in under 60 seconds without sounding rehearsed. We'll come back to how the journal helps with this. The third is distribution, and this is where most artists die quietly. They make beautiful work and then put it in exactly one place, Instagram, maybe a personal website if they're ambitious, and they wait. Don't wait. Your work needs to be in 5 to 7 channels minimum. Local galleries, online marketplaces, open studios, email newsletters, art fairs, direct collector relationships, commissions. Each one feeds a different appetite. Each one finds a different buyer. But here's the catch, and this is what we're building toward. None of this works if you can't sustain it. Because selling art is rejection heavy. It's slow. It's full of weeks where nothing happens and months where you wonder if you should just get a normal job. And that's where the second half of this conversation comes in. I want to tell you about the single most important tool in my studio. It's not a brush, it's not a camera, it's not a software subscription, it's a notebook. I started keeping an artist's journal about 7 years ago, and looking back, I can draw a straight line between the day I started writing things down and the day my career stopped feeling like a panic attack with a paintbrush attached. Here's why it matters. The artist's life is built on a brutal asymmetry. The losses are loud and immediate. The rejection email, the show that didn't sell, the collector who ghosted, the piece that didn't come together. The wins are quiet and easy to forget. The kind comment, the small sale, the moment a painting finally clicked. Without a journal, you only remember the losses. Your brain is wired to, and after a year of that, you'll quit. Not because you're not talented, because you've lost the evidence that you're winning. The journal is the evidence. So let's talk about how to actually keep one. I'm going to give you a structure. You can modify it, but start here. Page 1 of every week, what you made. Just a list. Titles, mediums, hours spent. No judgment, no rating, just the record. This becomes invaluable a year from now when someone asks how prolific you are and you can actually answer. Page 2, what you learned. 1 paragraph. Could be technical. I figured out that titanium white kills the warmth in the underpainting. Could be emotional. I noticed I avoid blue when I'm anxious. Could be commercial. Smaller pieces sold faster than the large one I spent a month on. Just 1 paragraph every week. Page 3, the wins. And I want you to be ruthless about this. Write down every single positive thing that happened, no matter how small. Someone followed you. Someone said the piece reminded them of their mother. You finished something. You started something. You showed up to the studio when you didn't want to. All of it counts. Because in 6 months, when you're convinced nothing is working, you will open this page and find 6 months of proof that you're wrong. Page 4, the questions, the things you're stuck on, the doubts, the should I keep doing this spirals. Get them out of your head and onto the page. The act of writing a doubt down strips it of about half its power. The other half gets answered 3 weeks later when you read it back and realize you already moved past it. Now here's the part most people skip, and it's the part that turns a journal from a diary into an actual business tool. Every month, sit down and read the last 4 weeks back. Just read. Don't edit. Don't judge. You're looking for patterns. Are the same fears coming up? Are the same techniques working? Are certain pieces selling and others not? The journal is a mirror. Once a month, you look in it. And here's the magic. The journal is also where the stories live. Remember segment 1 where I said collectors buy stories? When someone asks about a piece, you don't have to invent a story on the spot. You open the journal to the week you made it, and the story is right there. The mood you were in, the song that was playing, the thing your friend said that made you start it. That's not marketing, that's memory, and memory sells. So we've talked about why selling isn't dirty. We've talked about the journal that keeps you sane. Now I want to talk about how these two things work together over time, because that's where the whole thing pays off. Here's the truth about an art career. It is not a launch. It is not a viral moment. It is not the one show that changes everything. It is a 10-year compounding curve where for the first 3 years almost nothing visible happens, and then somewhere in year 4 or 5, the lines you've been quietly drawing all start to connect. Most artists quit in year 2. They quit because they can't see the curve yet. The journal is what lets you see the curve. The selling skills are what let you survive long enough to ride it. Let me give you a concrete picture of what this looks like in practice. Year 1, you're making work, you're pricing with a spine, you're telling stories, you're distributing in 5 channels, and you're journaling every week. You sell maybe a handful of pieces. You feel like nothing is happening. But the journal shows you You made 40 pieces, you learned 20 things, you had 30 small wins, you're building. Year 2, you start noticing patterns. The journal tells you which subjects sell faster, which channels actually convert versus which just feel busy, which collectors come back. You stop spreading effort evenly and start concentrating it where it works. Sales double. You still feel broke, but you can see the shape of something. Year 3, the relationships you've been building start to mature. The collector from year 1 buys their second piece and recommends you to a friend. The gallery you cold emailed 18 months ago finally has a slot. The journal shows you it took 11 follow-ups to get there, but you have the record, so you know it was worth it. And somewhere in year 4, you have what I call the click. You stop wondering if you're an artist, you stop apologizing for the prices. You stop posting and praying. The work, the selling, and the record keeping have all merged into one practice, and it is sustainable in a way it was never going to be when you were just making things and hoping. Now here's what I want you to actually do this week, because I don't believe in advice you can't act on tomorrow morning. 1. Buy a notebook today, not tomorrow, today. Doesn't matter what kind. The fancier you make it, the less likely you are to write in it. Cheap is fine, ugly is fine, just have it. 2. Write down the 4 pages I described just for this week. See how it feels. 3. Pick one piece you've made in the last year and write its story. 3 paragraphs. Where you were, what you were thinking, why it exists. The next time someone asks about your work, you'll have something real to say. 4. Pick one new distribution channel you're not currently using and put one piece there this week. Not a strategy, not a plan, just one piece, one channel, 1 week. Do those 4 things, and a year from now you will not recognize your practice. I want to leave you with this. Making art is the part that calls you. Selling art is the part that sustains you. And keeping the journal is the part that remembers you. Remembers who you were when this all started, what you were trying to say, and why it mattered enough to keep going on the days when it didn't feel like it mattered at all. Make the work. Sell the work. Write it down. That's the whole game.